The voicemail played for the third time, my mother's voice crackling through the speaker like a desperate ghost reaching across the years. "Eliza, please. I know it's been a long time, but we need you. It's about the house. Your grandmother's house." I sat in my darkened office, lines of code forgotten on the monitor, letting the familiar rage simmer beneath my skin. 15 years of silence, and now she needed something. Of course she did. "Delete!" I commanded my phone, but my finger hovered over the button. The house. Grandma Grace's Victorian on Maple Street, with its creaking porch swing and garden full of stubborn roses that bloomed despite everything. The only real home I'd ever known. My phone buzzed again. A text from my half-sister Samantha. "Mom's falling apart. Ronald's done something terrible. Please come home." Home. What a joke. I'd left that place at 13, watching through the rear window of Grandma's car as my mother stood in the doorway, silent and still as a statue, while Ronald's hand gripped her shoulder. She never came after me. I pulled up my calendar, scanning the neat rows of meetings and deadlines. Success was the best revenge, wasn't it? That's what I'd told myself while building my software company from nothing, while buying my downtown condo, while dating men who wore suits instead of wife-beaters. "Your mother's making her choices," Grandma had said back then, her arthritis-twisted fingers smoothing my hair. "But you, my girl, you're going to make different ones." Another text from Samantha. "Please, I'm scared." My fingers moved across the keyboard, canceling next week's meetings. I opened my bottom drawer, pulled out the old photo I kept there. 3 women on that porch swing, Grandma Grace, my mother, and me. Before Ronald. Before everything went wrong. The office phone rang. Tommy, my oldest friend, the only one who knew the whole story. "Hey, saw your calendar clear out. Everything okay?" Mother Dearest finally called. Sounds like Ronald's finally screwed up badly enough for her to notice. Shit. A pause. "You're not actually thinking of going back?" I traced the edge of the photograph. "The house, Tommy. He's done something to Grandma's house." "That place has been nothing but trouble since Grace died. Let it go, Liz." But I was already booking the flight. "I have to know." "You mean you have to make them pay?" "Same thing, isn't it?" Tommy sighed. "Want me to come with?" "No, this is something I need to do alone." I looked at my reflection in the darkened monitor. Successful, polished, nothing like that scared 13-year-old girl. Besides, I'm not that person anymore. I can handle them now. "That's what worries me," Tommy said. "Just don't lose yourself in this, okay?" I ended the call and pulled up real estate records. The house's ownership had changed hands 3 times since Grandma died. The latest transfer was 6 months ago to a shell company I recognized as one of Ronald's schemes. My phone buzzed one final time. Another voicemail from my mother, her voice breaking. "Please, Eliza, I know we don't deserve your help, but he's going to take everything. Everything your grandmother worked for. Everything she wanted for you. I booked the flight for tomorrow morning. First class? Because why not let them see exactly what I'd become without them?" I packed my laptop, my best suits, and that old photograph. "Time to go home," I whispered to my empty office, tasting the bitterness of those words. But this wasn't about home, not really. This was about justice, about revenge, about making them finally face what they'd done. I smiled in the darkness, imagining Ronald's face when he realized his stepdaughter wasn't that helpless child anymore. I had resources now, power, and most importantly, nothing left to lose. Except maybe, somewhere deep down, the last shreds of who I used to be. The rental car's tires crunched on the familiar gravel of my old driveway. Through the windshield, Grandma's Victorian looked like a wounded animal. Paint peeling, shutters hanging askew. Those stubborn roses now wild and untamed. The house seemed to lean slightly, as if bearing a weight it couldn't quite handle. Samantha waited on the porch steps, her shoulders hunched against the autumn chill. She looked more like our mother than I remembered. Same delicate features, same nervous energy in her hands. "They're fighting again," she said as I approached. No hello, no how are you, just the raw truth of what waited inside. Through the front window, I caught glimpses of movement, heard the muffled rise and fall of voices. Ronald's bass rumble, my mother's higher pitch cutting through. How long has it been like this? Since the notice came. Samantha pulled her sweater tighter. 3 weeks ago. The bank wants... The front door flew open. Ronald filled the frame, his bulk somehow larger than I remembered, though his hair had gone completely gray. His eyes narrowed. Well, look who finally decided to grace us with her presence. Ronald. I kept my voice neutral, professional, the same tone I used in hostile takeover meetings. Still too good to call me Dad, I see. You never earned the title. He stepped onto the porch, and Samantha instinctively moved closer to me. Interesting. You think you can waltz back here in your fancy clothes and judge us? You have no idea what we've been through. What you've been through? The words tasted like acid. That's rich, coming from... Eliza? My mother appeared behind him, 15 years older than the woman in my photograph. Her hands twisted together, a nervous habit I'd forgotten about. You came. Not for you. She flinched but nodded. I know, but please come inside. We need to talk about... The foreclosure? I cut in, watching Ronald's face darken. Or the gambling debts. Which conversation would you prefer to have first? You don't know what you're talking about, Ronald growled. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through my research. 3 mortgages in 5 years. 2 liens against the property. A shell company registered in your name that's been moving money through offshore accounts. Should I continue? The color drained from my mother's face. Ronald, what is she talking about? She's lying, he snapped. Making up stories because she's always been jealous of our family. Your family? I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make Samantha jump. You mean the one you stole from me? Nobody stole anything. He stepped closer, trying to use his height to intimidate me. You ran away, remember? Couldn't handle having a real father figure in your life. A real father figure doesn't... I stopped, noticing how Samantha's hand had moved to her arm, an unconscious gesture that spoke volumes. Actually, let's talk about what a real father figure does. Shall we? My mother moved between us. Please, both of you. This isn't helping. You're right, I said, switching tactics. What would help is seeing the financial records. All of them, now. Like hell, Ronald started, but my mother's quiet voice cut through. They're in the study. Martha! Ronald grabbed her arm. You can't let go! I didn't raise my voice, but something in my tone made him release her. Now, Mother, show me everything, every document, every statement, every piece of paper that explains how my grandmother's house ended up in this condition. You have no right, Ronald began, but Samantha suddenly spoke up. She has every right. It was her home first. The silence that followed was deafening. Ronald's face twisted with rage, but before he could speak, I stepped past him into the house. The familiar scent of lemon furniture polish mixed with something musty, decaying. Like the house itself was rotting from the inside out. The study, I said to my mother. Now. She led the way, Ronald's heavy footsteps following. I caught Samantha's eye as she brought up the rear, saw the slight nod she gave me. She knew something beyond what they'd told her to say in those texts. I'd come for revenge, but standing in that hallway, breathing in the decay of my childhood home, I realized this was about more than just settling old scores. This was about protection, about justice, about making sure Ronald Cooper couldn't destroy another family's future. And judging by the fear in my mother's eyes as she opened the study door, I wasn't the only one who'd reached that conclusion. The study was exactly as I remembered. Dark wood paneling, leather chairs, and the lingering scent of Ronald's cigars. But Grandma's antique desk was gone, replaced by a cheap metal one drowning in papers. I ran my finger through the dust on a nearby shelf. Even the books looked defeated. The records, my mother said, pulling folders from a cabinet. Her hands shook as she laid them out. I started scanning documents, my software developer's brain cataloging patterns, credit card statements, casino receipts, loan applications. Each page revealed a deeper pit of debt, with Grandma's house as collateral. Where's the trust paperwork? I asked, keeping my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. Ronald shifted near the door. What trust? Don't. I looked up, met his eyes. Grandma set up a trust before she died. For the house. For me. My mother dropped a stack of papers. Ronald, you said that trust was dissolved years ago, that it wasn't valid. It wasn't, he snapped. The lawyers confirmed. Which lawyers? I pulled out my phone, opened my emails. Because I have the original documentation right here. Signed, notarized, ironclad. The house was supposed to be mine when I turned 25. The color drained from Ronald's face. You're lying. 3 years ago, I continued, watching him squirm. That's when you started taking out loans against the property. Funny timing, considering that's exactly when the trust should have transferred ownership to me. I didn't, my mother started, but Ronald cut her off. You abandoned this family. You have no right to. Show me the trust dissolution paperwork, I demanded. Show me where I signed away my inheritance. Silence filled the room like smoke. Samantha appeared in the doorway, her eyes wide. You forged my signature, didn't you? The pieces clicked into place. That's why you needed the offshore accounts, to hide the fraud. Ronald lunged forward, but I stood my ground. You ungrateful little... Ronald! My mother grabbed his arm. Is it true? Did you forge? I did what I had to do, he roared. To keep this family afloat while she was off playing tech princess in the city. Playing? I laughed, the sound sharp as broken glass. I built a multi-million-dollar company while you were gambling away my inheritance. You think you're so much better than us? He wrenched free from my mother's grip. You want to know the real truth? Your precious grandmother wasn't the saint you think she was. Don't you dare? She was stealing from your college fund for years, taking money meant for your future and gambling it away at bingo halls and card games. I have proof. The room tilted slightly. You're lying. Am I? He yanked open a drawer, pulled out a yellowed envelope. Bank statements, withdrawal records. Your perfect grandmother was just as bad as me. The only difference is, I was trying to win it back. My mother snatched the envelope, hands trembling as she read. Oh, God! That's not possible, I whispered. But memories surfaced. Grandma's late-night trips, her secretive phone calls, the way she'd sometimes come home looking defeated. Face it, Ronald sneered. You're just like us. Damaged goods from a family of... Samantha's voice cut through the tension. He's lying. We all turned. She stood straighter now, chin raised. I found the real records last month, in his private safe. He's been doctoring documents for years, creating fake histories. The gambling receipts in Grandma's name? The dates don't match. She was in the hospital those days. I checked. Ronald moved so fast I barely saw it. His hand raised, but before he could strike Samantha, I was between them. Touch her, I said softly, and I'll destroy you. The threat hung in the air like a blade. Ronald's hand slowly lowered, but his eyes burned with hatred. You have 24 hours, I told him, to produce every document, every record, every piece of evidence about what you've done with this house and Grandma's trust. After that, I go to the police. You wouldn't dare. Try me. I turned to my mother. Your choice. Help me expose him or go down with him. She looked between us, years of fear and manipulation, warring with something else. Maybe hope, maybe courage. 24 hours, I repeated, taking Samantha's arm. Clock's ticking. As we left the study, I heard Ronald's voice, low and dangerous. You have no idea what you're starting. But he was wrong. I knew exactly what I was starting. War. Tommy's coffee shop hadn't changed. Same cracked leather booths, same ancient espresso machine hissing in the corner. I sat across from him, watching steam rise from my untouched cup, while Samantha's revelations about the safe tumbled through my mind. You look like hell, Tommy said, sliding a manila envelope across the table. But my contact at the bank came through. Inside were account statements spanning the last 5 years. Each page felt like another nail in Ronald's coffin. Or mine. I wasn't sure anymore. "There's more," Samantha said quietly. She'd insisted on coming, though her hands hadn't stopped shaking since we left the house. "The safe had letters from Grandma Grace, to you." My coffee cup clattered against its saucer. "What?" She pulled a bundle of envelopes from her bag, held together with a faded ribbon. "He intercepted them. There's dozens, all addressed to you at your old college dorm." Tommy whistled low. "That's mail fraud." But I barely heard him. The first letter was dated just weeks before Grandma died. Her familiar handwriting swam before my eyes. "My dearest girl, there's something you need to know about the trust." "Eliza?" Tommy's voice seemed far away. "What does it say?" I scanned the letters quickly, pieces clicking into place. She knew. About Ronald's gambling. About everything. She was gathering evidence, building a case against him. The trust wasn't just money, it was proof. Documentation of every scheme, every fraud he'd committed. "But why didn't she just turn him in?" Samantha asked. "Because of me." My mother's voice made us all jump. She stood by our booth, looking smaller somehow in the harsh fluorescent light. "She was protecting me." Tommy started to rise, but I waved him back down. "Sit down, Mother. Explain." She slid in beside Samantha, who instinctively moved closer to me. "Ronald, he had evidence about things I'd done before I married him. Nothing illegal, but enough to cost me my job, my reputation, you." "What kind of evidence?" "Letters, photos, from when I was young and desperate. He threatened to send them to my employers, to social services." Her voice cracked. "Your grandmother found out. She said she'd handle it, protect us both. Then she died, and Ronald claimed the trust had been dissolved." "And you believed him?" The words tasted bitter. "I believed I deserved it. The shame, the control, all of it. But Samantha didn't. You didn't." Tommy's phone buzzed. He checked it, his expression darkening. "We've got trouble. Ronald just withdrew everything from the joint accounts, all of it." "He's running," Samantha realized. "Let him," I said, but my mother grabbed my hand. "You don't understand. He has copies of everything. The real trust documents, Grandma's evidence, the photos he used to blackmail me. It's all in a safety deposit box at First National." My laugh surprised even me. "Of course it is. Right where I could never access it." "But I can," she said quietly. "I'm still on the account." The coffee shop seemed to hold its breath. I studied my mother's face, searching for any trace of deception. "Why help me now?" "Because your grandmother was right. Some debts can't be paid with money." She pulled a key from her pocket, placed it on the table. "The box number is 2247. Everything you need is there." "It's a trap," Tommy warned. "Maybe." I picked up the key, felt its weight. "But it's the only lead we've got. If you go now, you can beat him there," Samantha said. "The bank closes in an hour." I stood, gathering the letters and bank statements. "Tommy, take Samantha to your place. Mother, I'm coming with you." She stood too, straightening her shoulders. It's time I faced what I've done. The key felt hot in my pocket as we walked to my car. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about truth, about finally understanding the web of lies and protection that had shaped our lives. "He'll never forgive me for this," my mother said as we pulled out of the parking lot. "Good." I pressed the accelerator, watching the speedometer climb. Some things shouldn't be forgiven, but as we raced toward the bank, Grandma's letters burned in my bag like a question. Was I fighting for justice, or had I become exactly what Ronald always claimed, someone willing to destroy a family for revenge? The answer, I suspected, waited in box 2247. The safety deposit box key trembled in my mother's hand as the bank manager led us down to the vault. Every step echoed against marble floors, counting down moments until... What? Truth? Justice? Destruction? Box 2247, the manager announced, then froze. "Oh." My mother's sharp intake of breath told me everything. The box was already open, its contents scattered across the small viewing room table. "He beat us here," I said flatly. The manager checked his logs. "Mr. Cooper accessed the box 30 minutes ago. He seemed agitated." My phone buzzed. A text from Tommy. "Ronald just showed up at my place. He's looking for Samantha." The rage I'd been containing burst free. I slammed my palm against the metal table, making the manager jump. "What did he take?" My mother sifted through the remaining papers, her movements increasingly frantic. "The trust documents are gone. The photos too. But..." She held up a USB drive. "He missed this." The manager cleared his throat. "I should give you privacy." "Stay," I commanded. "We need a witness." I plugged the drive into my phone, and Grandma Grace's face filled the screen. A video. The timestamp showed 3 days before her death. "Eliza, my dear," her recorded voice wavered. "If you're watching this, then everything I feared has happened. Ronald's found a way to access the trust, but he doesn't know about the second account." My mother's head snapped up. "What second account?" "I opened it the day you left," Grandma continued. "In your name and mine. Offshore, where Ronald couldn't touch it. The account number and passwords are hidden in the one place he'd never look. The family Bible, tucked inside my favorite psalm about vengeance." "The Bible's still at the house," my mother whispered. "In my bedroom closet." Another text from Tommy. "Ronald's gone. But he took something from my safe. Old letters from your grandmother to you. He's trying to erase everything," I realized. "All the evidence, all the proof." "There's more," Grandma's recording continued. "Martha, if you're there too, you should know. I kept copies of everything. The real photos Ronald used against you. The ones that would prove he manipulated them. Changed dates. Added details." My mother sank into a chair, tears streaming. She knew, all this time. "The Bible," I said, already moving. "We need to..." My phone rang. Samantha's number, but Ronald's voice. "Looking for something, princess?" Ice flooded my veins. "Where is she?" "Safe, for now. Unlike your precious evidence." Background noise, pages ripping. "Amazing what you find in family Bibles. Account numbers, passwords, secrets." "If you hurt her..." "Then what? You'll expose me? With what proof?" He laughed. "Meet me at the house, alone. Or your sister learns exactly what happens to people who betray family." The line went dead. "Call the police," my mother pleaded. "And risk Samantha?" "No." I headed for the door. "He wants to end this where it started. Fine by me." "Eliza, wait!" She grabbed my arm. "There's something else you need to know. Something not in those documents." "Not now." "Yes, now." Her grip tightened. "The real reason I let him drive you away. He threatened to..." "The gambling wasn't just gambling. He has connections, dangerous ones. People who collect debts permanently." The implications hit like a physical blow. "You thought he'd... kill you?" "Yes. And now he has Samantha, and I can't lose another daughter." I shook free of her grip, my mind racing. Grandma's video, the hidden account, Ronald's desperation. All pieces of a puzzle I couldn't quite see. "Call Tommy," I said finally. "Tell him to meet me at the house. And Mother?" "Yes? Now, if anything happens to me or Samantha, make sure everything we found today goes public. Every document, every recording, every dirty secret. You're going to get yourself killed." I thought of Samantha, of Grandma's hidden messages, of 15 years of calculated abuse and control. "No," I said, heading for my car. "I'm going to finish what Grandma started." Behind me, her video played one final time. "Remember, my dear, revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about protecting what matters most." I just hoped I could figure out what that meant before it was too late. Grandma's house loomed before me in the twilight, its windows dark except for a single light in the study. Tommy's car wasn't here yet. Good. Whatever happened next, I wouldn't risk anyone else. The front door was unlocked. Inside, torn Bible pages littered the floor like fallen leaves, each one a piece of Grandma's final message scattered and broken. "Welcome home," Ronald's voice drifted from the study. Close the door. I did, noting the fresh scratches around the lock. Signs of struggle. My hand curled around the USB drive in my pocket, its edges digging into my palm. Where's Samantha? Safe. He sat behind Grandma's old desk, the family Bible gutted before him. Unlike your reputation once these go public. He spread photographs across the desk. Me at various tech conferences, business meetings, but altered. Dates changed, faces replaced, implications of corporate espionage and fraud carefully constructed. Really? I kept my voice steady. That's your play? Fake photos? Worked on your mother. He smiled, the expression never reaching his eyes. Amazing what people believe when the evidence seems irrefutable. Your company's board of directors, for instance. A message flashed on my phone. Package sent to all major shareholders. Deadline, midnight. My chest tightened. Everything I'd built, my entire company, balanced on reputation and trust. If those photos went public. Where is she? I demanded again. Show me what's in your pocket first. I placed the USB drive on the desk. Ronald picked it up, inserted it into his laptop. Grandma's face appeared, her final message playing again. Sweet old Grace, he sneered, always thinking she was one step ahead. She was. You just didn't realize it. I moved closer to the desk. The photos you used to blackmail my mother? Grandma kept the originals, the unaltered versions. His smile faltered. You're bluffing. Check your offshore account, the one you thought was so clever. I pulled out my phone, showed him the screen. Already emptied. Turns out Grandma's password hint wasn't that hard to crack. The day the devil came to dinner. The day you married my mother. Ronald lunged across the desk, but I was ready. The self-defense classes I'd taken after leaving home finally paid off. I deflected his grab, used his momentum to slam him back into the chair. It's over, I said. The money's gone. The evidence is public. Your leverage is... A scream from upstairs cut me off. Samantha's voice followed by a crash. I ran for the stairs, taking them two at a time. Behind me, Ronald laughed. You always were predictable, princess. The master bedroom door was locked. Inside, something shattered. Samantha! She's fine, Ronald called up the stairs. For now. But those photos of your corporate espionage? Already uploading to every news outlet in the country. Unless what? Sign over your company. All of it. One signature, and this all goes away. Another crash from inside the room. Was someone else in there with her? 10 seconds, princess, or your sister learns what happens to traitors in this family. I closed my eyes, saw Grandma's face from the video. Remember, revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. The contract appeared on my phone. Total surrender of my company, everything I'd built from nothing. My revenge had brought me right back here, powerless, trapped, forced to choose between family and survival. 5 seconds. A muffled sob through the door. Or was it a laugh? Time's up! My finger hovered over the signature line. All my evidence, all my plans, and still Ronald had outplayed me. Unless... Protection, I whispered, finally understanding Grandma's message. It was never about revenge. I kicked the bedroom door hard, right beside the handle. It burst open to reveal Samantha, alone, unharmed, and holding a phone set to record. Got it all, she said, grinning. Every threat, every admission, even the part about the fake photos. Below, Ronald's footsteps thundered up the stairs. You really should change your email password, Samantha continued. Those photos you sent to the board? Already replaced with evidence of your real corporate espionage. The gambling debts? Everything. Ronald reached the top step, just as police sirens wailed in the distance. You see, Ronald, I said, watching his face contort with rage. I learned from the best. Grandma taught me that true revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about protecting your family, Samantha finished. The sirens grew closer as Ronald realized, finally, that he'd lost everything. Just like he'd once made me lose everything. But this time, I wasn't alone. The police lights painted the Victorian's facade in alternating red and blue, but Ronald wasn't watching them. His eyes fixed on the phone in Samantha's hand, on the evidence of his own undoing. "Delete it," he growled, taking a step forward. "Like you deleted those trust documents?" I moved between them. "Or Grandma's letters? Or Mother's real photos?" His hand shot out, faster than I expected, grabbing my throat. "I said—" The crack of wood on bone echoed through the hallway. Ronald stumbled back, blood trickling from his scalp. Behind him stood my mother, wielding a broken piece of the banister. "Don't touch my daughters." Her voice shook, but her grip on the makeshift weapon remained steady. Never again. Footsteps thundered up the stairs. Tommy and 2 police officers, their weapons drawn. "Officers!" Ronald straightened, switching masks instantly. "Thank God you're here. These women have broken into my home, threatened—" "Actually," Tommy cut in, "this isn't your home. Hasn't been for about—" He checked his watch. 30 minutes. The trust documents just cleared. Property's back in Eliza's name. Ronald's facade cracked. "Impossible! I destroyed—" "Copies," Samantha said. Grandma Grace kept copies of everything, in safety deposit boxes across 3 states. "Under her maiden name," I added, watching comprehension dawn in his eyes. "The name you never bothered to learn. You're lying." But uncertainty crept into his voice. The account numbers, the passwords, were exactly where she said they'd be. I pulled out the Bible's torn pages. In her favorite psalm about vengeance, the one you ripped out without reading. The officers moved forward, cuffs ready. Ronald's hand slipped into his jacket. "Don't!" my mother warned, but he was already pulling out a flash drive. "One click," he snarled, "and every dirty secret about this family goes public. Martha's photos, Eliza's corporate dealings, everything." "You mean these photos?" Samantha held up her phone, showing the original, unaltered images. "Or maybe these corporate records?" Another swipe revealed documentation of Ronald's own fraud. "How did you—" "Nah, I'm a software developer, remember?" I stepped closer. "Those offshore accounts you used? I built better security systems before I was 25. Breaking into yours took less time than my morning coffee." The flash drive clattered to the floor as the officers grabbed his arms. "Wait!" he pleaded, looking at my mother. "Martha, you can't let them do this. Think about us, about our life together." Our life," she laughed, a sound I hadn't heard in 15 years. "You mean your control? Your lies? The way you threatened my daughter until I sent her away? I protected you." "No," I said quietly. "Grandma protected us, all of us. She just needed time to gather enough evidence." "Evidence of what?" one of the officers asked. Tommy handed over a thick folder. "Fraud, embezzlement, blackmail, money laundering for some very interesting casino owners. 5 years of documented crimes, courtesy of Grace Thompson's meticulous record-keeping." Ronald lunged suddenly, breaking free of the officers. But instead of running, he charged straight at me. "You ruined everything!" I didn't move. Didn't have to. Samantha's foot shot out, catching his ankle. He sprawled forward, face meeting the hardwood floor with a satisfying crunch. The officers were on him instantly, cuffs clicking shut. "You know what your mistake was?" I knelt beside him as they hauled him up. "You thought revenge meant destroying people, but Grandma taught me differently. Real revenge? It's about patience, protection, building something stronger than the fear you used to control us." "This isn't over," he spat blood onto the floor. "You have no idea what I'm capable of." "Actually," Tommy interrupted, "as your newly appointed public defender, I advise you to stop talking, now." The officers led him away, his threats fading down the stairs. My mother's hand found mine, squeezing gently. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, "for everything." "I know." I squeezed back, watching Samantha collect the scattered Bible pages. But Grandma was right. Some things are worth protecting, worth fighting for. Through the window, dawn painted the sky in shades of hope. The old Victorian creaked around us, settling into its foundations like it too was finally free of a long-carried weight. "So," Samantha said, holding up the restored Bible. What do we build now? I looked at my mother, at Tommy, at the sister I'd only just found. Something stronger, I replied. Something true. The autumn wind rustled through Grandma's roses as I cleared the last of Ronald's things from the study. Each item told its own story of deception. Forged documents, hidden accounts, years of calculated manipulation reduced to a box, headed for evidence storage. Found something, Samantha called from the closet. She emerged with a dusty photo album, its spine cracked but intact. Look at this! The first page showed 3 generations of women on the porch swing, Grandma Grace, my mother, and me. Below it, Grandma's elegant handwriting. The strength of our line isn't in what we endure, but in what we choose to protect. My mother appeared in the doorway, hesitating at the threshold. She looked smaller now, without Ronald's shadow looming over her. The divorce papers came through, she said quietly. And Tommy says Ronald's taking a plea deal. 20 years, minimum. I nodded, turning another page in the album. More photos, more memories. The house when it was newly painted. Grandma in her garden. Me at 13. The day before I left, my smile already fading. I've been thinking about selling my condo, I said, not looking up. The commute wouldn't be too bad from here. The floorboard creaked as my mother stepped closer. You'd stay? The house needs work. Lots of it. I traced a photo of the porch swing, now broken and waiting for repair. But Grandma always said some things are worth rebuilding. Samantha sat beside me, her shoulder touching mine. I could help. I mean, if you want. My coding skills aren't great, but I'm pretty good with a paintbrush. A letter fell from between the album's pages, addressed to me in Grandma's handwriting. The paper was fresh, not yellowed like the others. I unfolded it carefully. What does it say? My mother asked. My dearest Eliza, I read aloud. If you're reading this, you've finally understood what I've tried to teach you. Revenge isn't the opposite of love. It's a twisted form of it. The real challenge isn't in destroying what hurts us, but in building something stronger from the ruins. Samantha leaned closer. There's more on the back. I turned the page. P.S. Check behind the loose brick in the garden wall. Some legacies are meant to grow, not gather dust in bank vaults. The garden wall yielded its secret easily. A small metal box containing seed packets, each labeled in Grandma's hand. Rose varieties I'd never seen, carefully preserved. She was hybridizing them, my mother realized, creating new strains that could survive anything, even winter. I held the seeds, feeling their potential. Like codes waiting to be unlocked, lives waiting to bloom. I never told you, my mother said suddenly. But the day you left, she made me promise something. She said when you were ready, when you'd learned to protect without destroying, I should give you this. She pulled a small key from her pocket, its bronze surface worn smooth with age. To what? The greenhouse, the one she always kept locked. She pressed the key into my palm. She said you'd know when it was time. The greenhouse key felt warm against my skin, like it had been waiting all these years. Through its clouded glass, I could see the shapes of dormant plants, waiting. You don't have to decide now, Samantha said, about staying, about any of it. But I already had. Revenge had brought me home. But something else would keep me here. Something Grandma understood all along. Actually, I said, I think I'll start with the roses. My mother's hand found mine, tentative but present. Samantha gathered the seed packets, already talking about optimal planting times and soil conditions. Above us, the old Victorian creaked in the wind, its wounds visible, but its foundation solid. Like us, it had survived by adapting, by growing stronger in the broken places. I slipped the greenhouse key onto my ring, next to the one for my condo, feeling the weight of both choices, the life I'd built and the one I might grow here. Some would call it karma, that Ronald's own schemes led to his downfall. Others might see justice in the way truth finally broke his web of lies. But standing there, holding Grandma's seeds and her final lesson, I understood what she'd known all along. The sweetest revenge isn't in destroying what hurt you, it's in blooming anyway.